Good day everyone and welcome back to the channel. Alright, cleaning out the freezer and I had this bird in there. He's been sitting there for a while. He was a rooster or a young rooster that started to turn aggressive. So I had to harvest him. Now you can see he's pretty lean. The bone right there, and there's not a lot of meat here. So, and because I had to harvest him when I did, you know, the plucking job's not the greatest because he was at the stage where feathers were coming out. Been sitting in the freezer for a while, got a bit of freezer burn. Well, not the greatest bird for cooking in the world. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna turn it into some stock. Okay, so there we go, all corded up. That was a job and a bit. You want a good pair of poultry scissors, mine aren't. Over here at the stove, we've got the top of my slow cooker. I have a metal one, which means I can fry in it. The other option is to just roast the bird a little bit of olive oil. What we're after at this stage is just a little bit of browning. Back here on the bench, we're going to add some carrot. This is just really roughly chunked up. Still got peels on, still got tops attached. Next up, we're going to add in some celery. Celery is a natural preservative, so really good for stocks and broths and that sort of thing. That's pretty much it for our vegetables. I don't add onion in. You certainly can, but I often give the broth and certainly the vegetables to my dog, so onion's a bad thing to add. We will add a wee bit of cooking salt, not too much. I don't want a salty stock. I prefer to adjust it later on. Also add some pepper in the form of whole black peppercorns. The whole peppercorns are easier to get out when you're finished. I generally use the salt and pepper in my cooking, so I'm not worried about adding a little bit. And yeah, I'll taste it later on as we go. Last thing at this stage is just some tap temperature hot water. I want to add boiling water that's going to scald the outside of the vegetables. Just the tap temperature is fine. That's it for this stage. We leave this here for 48 hours. You know, put the lid on. There you go. So yeah, as I said, we'll leave it sit for 48 hours, just on low. And by the time that's done, the bones will be crumbly, the meat will be falling off, and it will be absolutely delicious. This one's actually had 72 hours. It has been 30 degrees Celsius, which is 90 Fahrenheit inside the house. So left it for the extra day, waiting for a cooler day. So we're back up on the bench. We've got a couple bowls here for stock. We've got a bone and vegetable bowl. I've also got a little bowl here because I'm still hoping to get some meat, even though it's going to be a stringy chicken. The meat should be good at this time. We've got ladle, slotted spoon, and we've also got a tea towel covered colander, or sieve, depending on which terminology you use, to clean everything. If I was going to process it tonight, I would just skim and try and get the fat off. That way I'm going to put it in the fridge because it's still too hot in the house to have the boiling water of a water bath canner running, or even a pressure canner. It's just too hot for it. So we'll grab all our vegetables out. So I've had a taste of the meat because of the extra long cook time. Yeah, it's pretty dry, which means most of the nutrients has come out of it. So that will go into what for me is the dog food bowl. And that's the reason I don't use any onions. Bob will be very happy to see it in there. Just going to run the stock through our sieve with our tea towel. This tea towel has got 2 layers on it. It just helps to clear the stock up a bit more. Now this does tend to get a bit slowed down when you're getting towards the end of it. Don't be tempted to push it through. If you push it through, you're going to push all those fine solids that it's catching through. If instead of doing that, you just roll it to the side and get a fresh piece of tea towel, it will go quicker. Okay, so there you go. You can see there's a lot of sediment caught up in there. That's awesome because that's going to mean a clearer stock. Now we can see our 2 bowls of stock. As you can see, it's very, very dark in color. That's at 72 hours. All the sugars have caramelized. As I said, the meat itself's pretty dry because it sucked all the goodness out of the meat. So this is a pretty concentrated stock right now. You can run it through a coffee filter to get it that little bit cleaner, but it's not necessary. This is pretty clean. I'm going to put it in the fridge, as I said. That's going to give all that fat on top a chance to amalgamate. We can clean that off tomorrow. It's an easier way to do it. Here we are, all prepared for the canning stage. We've got our cooled down broth. You can see there's still a little bit of fat on the top. As I said, running it through a coffee filter would remove that. I'm not too concerned about it. It's a minute amount. As it cools down, the surface tension actually brings some of it up and it sets along the rim of the bowl. But the minute amount in there, I'm not really worried about it. So we've got our sterilized jars, which are all cooled off. We have our harvest guard lids. Harvest guard or Tatler is what I prefer to a metal pop top. Got our rings and we've got our seals. These are the only things I still need to heat up, which I'll do right now before we use them. Canning funnel makes life so much easier. In a jar. Okay, pretty simple. We're just going to scoop our broth out. We'll grab our harvest guard, put our seal on it, hold it in place, put that on top. Lastly, we get our ring. Okay. Using finger to hold it in place, we just turn until the jar rotates, like so. And that's tight enough for these harvest guards. It's pretty loose when you consider how hard you screw it down for a pop top metal, but with the harvest guards, you just want to go until it spins on your finger. And into the water bath we go. Just turn the heat on. Cold water because we've got a cold product. I've got my usual tea towel as a trivet down the bottom there, just to lift the jars off the bottom so they're not getting the direct heat of the flame transferred through the pot. We'll put the lid on this just to make it easier to bring it to the boil and boil it. Once it reaches a rolling boil, which is a boil that you can't stir down, then we'll boil it for 1 hour and that will bring it to safe. Okay, these are our done, so we'll just turn the temperature off. Okay, I'll let them cool down probably for about 20 minutes. Just let some of the heat come out of the jars before I get them out, and join you again tomorrow once they've cooled off. Once I do pull them out, I will tighten down the lids for overnight just to help them to seal properly. Next day, time to put them away. I do cover them with a couple of tea towels or a towel overnight just to help to keep them from cooling down too quickly. As you can see, that beautiful dark color. Yeah, that is a nice rich stock. or broth. Difference between a stock and a broth. Stocks normally cook quicker. Broths cook slower, so the bones break down. They can be used interchangeably. All right, so just need to put my date stickers on them, which I'm pretty much running out of. Just got by with half on the last one. I normally just use the ball dissolvable ones. Even these are pretty hard to find in Australia right now, so I'll have to get online, do a bit of a search and see what I can come up with. All right, so we'll take the rings off, put the labels on, and put these away in the cupboard. All right, thank you very much everyone for watching, and bye for now.